What's up, movie crew? Welcome to something I've only done once before, so if this is something that you want more of, comment down below. Today, I am giving a complete spoiler review of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. If you have not yet seen the movie, stop. Check the pinned comment down below for the spoiler-free review. You've been warned. Alright. On Thursday, I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the first entry into MCU's Phase 5, the third movie of the Ant-Man franchise, and the second movie I've seen in theaters this year. So, for those that did not see my spoiler-free review, the gist of it is, I enjoyed it, it was fun, but it's a very flawed movie. Let me get into the pros, the things that I liked about this movie. For starters, Paul Rudd has been doing his thing as Scott Lang. He was great in this, just like he was great in the other movies. I have no complaints with anything that he has done as Ant-Man so far. There's a couple of times where I feel like they could have had him be a little bit smarter of an individual, but that's it. Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. This is the Kang I was looking forward to seeing. I was a little disappointed when I saw He Who Remains in Loki. I was like, they gotta follow up Thanos, and this is what they're giving us. This diminished any doubts I had. Jonathan Majors owned as Kang. I am going to get into one thing towards the end, and then we'll go back to some of the other pros. So, one of the things I know a lot of people said they didn't like that have seen the movie is how Scott finishes off, or so-called kills, Kang. As powerful as Kang is, in the comics, it's usually something very minuscule that ends up beating him. One of the comics I remember reading, the Avengers were able to beat him because Iron Man was able to find out that parts of Kang's chair was Stark technology and knew a failsafe code. So, yeah, it's usually, once you can figure out something that's kind of basic, and also if you know the MCU, he's not gone. Catherine Newton played the older version of Cassie. I was a little disappointed in the fact they did a recast here, given that we saw older Cassie Lang in Endgame, but she was great. One of the things I liked was we got to see her as an older individual. We got to see her, I don't want to say grown up, but pretty much grown up. But we still see that even though she's becoming her own person, she still has that desire to be her father's sidekick. She wants to work with him. She wants to work for him. She wants to pretty much... She idolizes her dad, and it's a really good father's-daughter dynamic that Paul Rudd and Catherine Newton did great with. And seeing that we now have an established relationship with Cassie and Hank and Jan is also really good. All that stuff was great. So, now that we've gotten the good stuff out of the way, here are some of the issues I have with the movie. For starters, it's obvious, yes. Jan was in the quantum realm for nearly 30 years, so yeah, she kind of knows a little bit. Scott was in there for 5 years. You're telling me that in this 5-year span, King and Scott never interacted at all for even one time? Something about that felt a little weird to me. Because if you haven't, well, anyone who's watching this should have already seen Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. Scott doesn't get dusted by Thanos in Infinity War. He's left in the quantum realm because Hank and Hope both get dusted or blipped. And a rat just happens to walk across a button in Endgame and Scott comes popping out of the quantum realm. So why was that never involved in the story? Because unlike some of the other individual stories we've gotten in Marvel, Peyton Reed's been the director for all 3 of these. So you would think that Scott would know something about the quantum realm after being stuck there for so long. Another issue I had was when it was first mentioned that Bill Murray was going to be in the movie and that he was going to be playing a villainous character, and then they were like, oh yeah, Modoc's going to be in it. It had me thinking the way they were talking about it was that Bill Murray was going to be Modoc. Obviously that didn't happen. We are getting to Modoc, by the way. What's a good way to put this? Bill Murray was definitely stole the screen when he was there, but he was also there for like 5 minutes. They could have easily taken out his cameo, and I don't think it would have had any serious changes to the movie. They would have just had to find out another reason why Jan needs to leave. Other than that, they kind of squandered having Bill Murray. I don't get how you do that. Alright, let's talk Modoc. Alright, so Modoc, as far as the look goes, that was pretty on point. Other than the fact it's not Darren Cross that becomes Modoc in the comics. However, Modoc is someone that they could have kept around and they didn't. And this is an issue with almost every Marvel movie. Kevin Feige, I know you're probably never going to watch this, but you can have villains stick around and not eventually become the good guy or be like the overall saga arching villain like Thanos and Kang. It's doable, I promise. Modoc is a very unusual, unique character that I think they could have done more with. And instead it was... I like that it ended up revealed that it was Darren from the first one. And Corey Stoll is a great actor. That was a good move. But he suddenly decides he's going to take Cassie's advice and stop being a dick. And he's going to die an Avenger. That was stupid. That was very stupid. I don't know any other way to put it. This was another character that they could have done something with, and again, this got squandered. Of course, and again, we sort of had AIM in other movies, and AIM as a whole has been kind of squandered. Anyway, the characters that we meet throughout the movie. I gotta say, I laughed at some of the stuff when Scott sees the movie and buildings like, your buildings are alive down here? And then one of them was like, oh no, your buildings are dead up there? I'm so sorry. Like, that got a laugh out of me. I'm not gonna lie, that was hilarious. But they're introducing all these characters that Scott and Cassie meet, or some of the people that Hank and Jan and Hope meet. By the end of the movie, it doesn't matter. You had 2 hours to give us a movie from beginning to end, and you focus so much on us needing to meet all these characters who are either dead or unimportant to the movie by the end of the movie. And I did not like that. They could have spent more time with Paul Rudd and Cassie's story, or with Scott and Cassie's story, or with Jan eventually being a little more open than what she really was when she finally did the reveal of knowing who Kang is. And for anyone that's wondering about why Kang can't leave the quantum realm, that's something that's been in the comics before. He was exiled into the quantum realm, and I'm going to be honest, I don't remember how he got out, but that has been used before. And just like what happened with Quantumania, he does eventually rule the quantum realm. So one thing that got spoiled for me was right before this movie came out, there were talks of Marvel in talks with Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly for doing Ant-Man 4. And that upset me because the first real introduction in the comics we get for Kang, keep in mind we're talking the Hank Pym Ant-Man, but one of the things he does to assert his dominance, he kills Ant-Man. With this being what I thought was going to be the last in a trilogy, they kind of need to have stakes. This is a good way to introduce Kang. I was expecting someone to die. I don't know any other way to put it. And the fact that the heroes were pretty much unscathed by the end of it, I mean, yeah, there's some emotional damage there from having to deal with Kang, but that's about it. They could have done a lot more on that part. As far as the Kang that we see in Quantumania, I don't think he's dead. Kang has a way of coming back. Which leads me to those 2 post-credit scenes. We're going to get the first one out of the way, where we see the Council of Kang, and they're all talking about the Exiled One and what this means, and how they're upset that it wasn't someone from the Council of Kang, or it looks like in the movies they're going to be calling them the Kang Dynasty. We're not the ones to actually kill the Exiled One. Again, I've still got my reasons. I don't think he's dead. But seeing that we're going to get all the variants of Kang has me excited. Because despite my personal feelings about He Who Remains, between the scenes that we got from the Loki Season 1 finale and with Quantumania, we're seeing some really good range so far with Jonathan Majors. So keep that up. The second scene, and kudos to Marvel on this one, because this has been one of my biggest complaints ever since Kevin Feige took over the TV side, and that is that I feel like even now, the TV shows are still unnecessary for watching the movies. And this is the first time where it genuinely feels like before Quantumania, you should have probably watched Loki Season 1, and then here it is with what is probably a scene from Loki Season 2. If you remember, at the second post-credit scene in the first Ant-Man movie was Steve and Sam talking about the Accords, and Sam saying, "I know a guy," hinting from his fight with Ant-Man, and that was a scene from Civil War. I think this is a scene from Loki Season 2. So, for starters, thank you for actually having better connection between these two for once, Marvel. Between the TV shows and the movies. But also, this scene shows that even Loki, a God is scared of Kang. They are really setting up Kang as the next Thanos for the MCU. And as someone who really enjoyed reading the stuff with Kang, another recommendation I can give is Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon. Check that out. There's a really good Kang story in there. This has me excited. And this is only his second appearance in the MCU. So, again, yeah, it's a flawed movie. But it does do a lot of things really good. Paul Rudd can do no wrong. He's already proven he's got this character down already. We got to see someone else come in. So not only did he do this job, he also had to have that same interaction with a different actress playing his daughter. You get to see the evolution of his relationship with Michael Douglas's Hank Pym, with Evangeline Lilly's Hope. All that stuff was great. Yes, the movie was a little sloppy. Yes, the pacing sucked. But as for an opening to Phase 5, there's still some things I think they could have done better. But they did a good job with everything, all things considering. And I've been talking a lot longer than I was expecting to, so I'm going ahead and wrap this up. And as always, if you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. Almost at 1,000 subscribers, doing a giveaway at 1,000 subs. You like what you see? Leave a thumbs up. Comment down below. What was your favorite scene from Quantumania? But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all for watching and tune in next time.